Hi beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. My name is Steve. Welcome if you're new. So recently I've been following the social events, social issues in China because that's where I'm from, and then it just inspired me to make this video talking about three most toughest dilemmas that Chinese young people are facing, and namely people my age. And then the first one I would probably say is the housing issues. Because we all know that the housing price is just ridiculous in first-tier cities, even across the board in any country. But the reason why China is unique is that it has this residency privilege policy that only allows people with residency in certain cities enjoy privileges to medical care, schooling, work benefits and housing benefits, all that kind of stuff. That's why people across the country in China would swarm into these first-tier cities, including Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen. Now there are some new first-tier cities popping up, and those are the places that people would also swarm to, which causes the housing prices in those cities just ridiculously high. Too high to the point that normal people, there's no way for them to afford ever buying a house in those first-tier cities. Even if they purchase those houses, they still won't be able to get the permit, like residency permit to that city. They would still be considered as aliens, even though they can spend like 10 years, 20 years, 3 decades in that city. Their kids still wouldn't enjoy the benefits in that city. So when they have the Gaokao, which is the college entrance exam, they still have to go to the provinces where these parents are from originally to get the exam, which is usually way harder than the exams in Beijing. So that's very unfair. I think I looked up the average salary for people in Beijing, and then the number it showed on my searching engine said the median number is around 6,900 Chinese yuan, so around $1,000 per month. What's outrageous is the housing price. The average housing price in 2020 is around 58,000 Chinese yuan per square meters. So that's probably around like $8,000 because there's the fluctuation in the currency exchange. So I'll give a gross number. So basically it causes roughly around $1 million to get maybe like a 3-bedroom apartment that's around like 100 and maybe like 50 square meters. For young people that are getting paid for like around 7,000 yuan, so essentially $1,000 per month, there's no way in hell whatsoever for them to actually purchase a house in Beijing or a house in the first-tier cities which share similar housing prices. So basically, not only are these young people having issues with purchasing expensive houses in these first-tier cities, they also are having issues or facing issues that come with renting apartments, because there was this recent incident called eggshell apartment. Basically a bunch of college graduates rented apartments from this housing agency called Eggshell. They paid rent for the entire year up front because that way if you divide the price for each month, it will be cheaper, and that's one way they can afford it. And some of them took on some small loan for just getting this 1 year of leasing. But then when it comes to the leaser's part, the landlord's part, they would receive rent money monthly. This way the Eggshell company itself can have this pool of money, this capital to invest, maybe in stock market, in real estate and whatnot. However, because of the train wreck of 2020 the company lost all of their money, and then they weren't able to pay all of the landlords, but at the same time, they took all of the money from these college graduates. That's why these college graduates, even though they paid for the entire year of their apartments, they still were chased out by their landlord. I mean, the landlords, a lot of them were also on mortgage, and they still have to pay for their mortgage loan each month. That's why they have to empty their apartment for new leasee to come in. So this is a really tricky situation, and that just even adds more challenges to Chinese young people nowadays. And the second dilemma I would say is probably just the population components. We have the gender imbalance issue. We have now officially recorded 30 million more eligible men than women because of the one-child policy. A little bit of context right here. China has always been a son preference culture. Because of its traditional agriculture society, people just favor boys more because they are better for doing work in the field. And then even though now the society has changed and women and men can do the same job equally, people still have this preference for males. That's why when China was pushing this one-child policy, allowing only one child for each family, they essentially aborted all the female infants. Either abort the infants or just abandon the infants, leading to the death of that child. And that led to the gender imbalance we are facing right now. And then a lot of single men in China are actually facing the problem of not being able to find a wife. But at the same time, because of the societal pressure that has been weighing on Chinese young people nowadays, people don't want to get with a partner. Even when they do, they don't want to have kids because that's a lot of pressure. And because we are the products of the one-child policy, we are so used to having just one child. And then being able to afford that one child is already a huge struggle, let alone the fact that adding one more or even more. So now, because the Chinese government is pushing the second child policy, I can see that being potentially a trouble for a lot of young people in the near future when they are approaching the age of maybe forming families and even having kids. And then the third biggest dilemma would be issues that come with taking care of our parents. For the majority of Chinese people, we were led to believe that because we were taken care of by our parents when we were little, and then they've invested so much in our education, in our life to make us have a better life, when they get old, we feel the obligation to also take care of them. And that's also the filial piety culture in China, which also I think was shared by a lot of other Asian countries. And then the problem with the one-child policy is that because these families, the majority of the Chinese families only have one child, when the child is going to other cities, to other countries even, because for better opportunities for educations and work and families and whatnot, these parents were just left alone by themselves. If they were to run into some sort of medical emergency, they have no child to lean on, and then the children that aren't physically close to their parents won't be able to get in there. So that's a really big tragedy that I think will become a very posing problem for a lot of Chinese young people in the near future, in just about a few decades down the road. Especially for, people like me who are just studying abroad and most likely will settle abroad, and then because we're the only child, it's very unlikely that we will be by our parents' side when they get very old, even when they get, sick. I know the nursing homes are always a good choice, but then because of the aging problem in China, by 2050 or 2035, I forgot, nearly 30% of the Chinese population will be people that are above 60 years old. So I would imagine the nursing homes would be just overrun, and then you would have to pay a very, very expensive fee to find a decent nursing home, nursery for your parents. And I feel like that's going to be another train wreck that Chinese young people like me, myself, will have to face in the near future, in the foreseeable future. Those are the summaries of 3 biggest dilemmas that Chinese young people my age are facing and will face in the future. And if you feel like there's something else to add to it, or if you have any thoughts on this issue, feel free to leave a comment below. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!